I'm here. There we
Okay.
go.
Hi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. I'm acting like I didn't see you on Saturday at the Black Books Matter Fest.
I know.
But I
Look,
saw you.
look,
I saw
look.
you there. You did a book signing at Black Book Matters. How was that for you?
To me, it was sometimes like I feel like the little engine that could because I feel like I keep taking these um they are small steps toward like this like ultimate thing, even though to me that was like a huge step because I have wanted to do something with mahogany books forever. And so but it's a little difficult to like fit in their schedule, like all the authors want to come visit them.
Yeah.
So um I was sending emails and my publicist was sending emails, and they were like, okay, we have like literally like a few weeks before the event, they were like, we have space for you in the store. So I was on cloud nine. I'm just telling you, I listen, Kennedy Ryan had a line all the way around the block, but I it was, did the weather feel amazing that day? Like
It
every
was a good day. Like it was like maybe low 80s. The sun was out, but it was like low 80s. So it wasn't terribly hot.
it was a good
It was
day.
ideal. It was ideal. It was ideal. The weather was ideal. I'm glad it didn't rain. I'm glad it was mild. Not too hot. But yeah, you had your book signing in the store. How did that feel like?
um it felt like, again, it felt like, hey, this is something that you've been working toward. A lot of times, I started off as a bookstagrammer, and I actually like remember when the bookstore first opened, because it was like around the time when I was like promoting books and like doing that sort of thing. And so I've watched them grow, and then I took this big break from that and got off of social media to begin a writing career and to be in my writing cave. And when I got back, they were like the it girl of all indie bookstores. So I don't know. I felt incredibly fortunate just to be a part of that event. And then for it to I think I saw that they had posted, people were saying like, oh, I thought this was the first year you guys did it. And they were like, no, like we had this idea to just double whatever we did. And I just felt like, I mean, whatever goal they set for themselves, it must have exceeded everybody's expectations. It was amazing, and it was great to be a part of it.
Yeah, I can only imagine what they'll be up to next year.
Me
Because
too.
I was there in all the fanfare. Like I saw the lines, getting into panels, getting into the store. It was a lot of people. So I'm like, what would next year look like? So I'm excited to see what they're up to. So your book,
Yeah.
it's inverted. I don't anyways, your book has been out for about a month.
Yep.
Um, Congratulations on Pretty Girl County.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's been out in the world for a month. How has the last month been for you?
Um, it's been a lot. It's been a lot going on. Like I can't I can't complain, because there have been some book releases where it's just like, okay, the book's out, and then it's just like crickets. And I felt like like the week this book came out, it was, oh, I get to go on a plane and actually like go somewhere and celebrate the book. And then like the week after, I felt like I had like set up events, and I really felt celebrated after like 2 years of really, really wanting this story out in the world. So it's felt amazing, but exhausted. Like I'm just in a full transparency period here. This is the week that I'm not supposed to have my wig on. So like
Okay.
okay, this is when it's writing time, wig is off. Like wig is on the floor. And so I'm like, okay, like it hurt to even get up and put my hair, like put my hair together and put on some clothes, and because sometimes like when you have to be, especially as a writer, if you have to be front facing,
Hmm.
you just you really treasure the moments where you're like,
Well, thank you for putting your wig on for us. I already told you I'm gonna have you out by 9. Thank you for putting your wig
oh,
on for us. Thank you for talking to me about your book. I actually read your book last month, so we're gonna talk about it. But first, I want to do a rapid fire game.
okay.
I want to, we all loosen up and get into, interview mode. I'm going to ask you a series of 10 questions.
Hmm.
First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah.
Last book you read.
The last book I officially read, well, I'm blurbing a book that's not coming, that is not going to come out. So that's Untitled. But the last book I read, Chloe by Connie Briscoe, which came out this spring, and I read, and I was debating on whether to tell y'all this because I'm going to sound like I'm super late to the game, but I wanted to read like the first book that Ashley and Jaquavis like ever wrote. And so I went in the bookstore and like found it and read it
Okay. Okay.
for
Um,
research purposes.
what other book titles were you considering for Pretty Girl County?
So interestingly enough, this is probably the only book that I had the title first. So I think I've mentioned this like before, but I know this was the second book in like a two book deal, and the first book I had some name and they were like no, and then like they named the book. But this one I was really strong about. I actually had the name before before I had even had the whole book, like what the book was going to be about. I knew it was going to be about PG County. I knew that like it had, this county has nicknames, and one of them is Pretty Girl County, and I was like, I know you guys may want me to write about this thing, but I want to write about Prince George's County, and I want to call it Pretty Girl County. And I was just waiting for them to say no, and they were like,
Okay.
that's all
They're like, okay.
right.
They're like, we'll allow it. Who's your
So
favorite
no.
author? Who's your favorite author?
Oh, oh my gosh. Okay. Elin Harris.
Okay. That's a throwback. A
It
little bit of
is.
a throwback. A
It
little bit
is,
of a throwback.
but it's my comfort read.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
How many copies of Pretty Girl County do you have in your house right now?
I shipped all my author like one, because I shipped all my author copies off to an artist. I wanted sprayed edges, and that does not happen for every author. So I was like, let me find somebody that knows how to do it. So they're away.
How many
So
did you send off for sprayed edges?
20 or 10.
Okay.
It was 10 or 20. So I should know that. But all of the ones that I had left, I sent them off. And so when they come back, I'll have like 10 in the house.
Okay. What are you gonna
Yeah.
do with the other 10?
Give them away.
Okay. Okay.
Because I'm not
Um,
going to be able to I'm going to have them on the bookshelf, and then I'm going to want other people to have it. And so I know I'm going to just end up, people will come to the house and I'm like, take this book, take it. So I'll have like some official giveaways, but for the most part, I'll probably just be like saying, here, take a special edition of the book.
okay. Okay. Have you ever considered writing adult fiction?
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
It's a lot of.
We'll talk about that later then.
I'm excited about
um,
that.
who is one of your author friends?
Okay, so it's like I have different groups of writing friends, because like one group, they all came from like my MFA program, so like we all were just aspiring writers together. Then I have like some writer friends that are from here. I have some, so um hmm let's
Who's a
see.
local friend?
Okay, well, I could say Nikki Payne lives very close to me. We found that out at a conference. We were like, um, I think I was saying I was like, oh, I'm about to write this book about my hometown. I was like, yeah, like Maryland, and she was like, oh yeah, I live in Maryland. I was like, yeah, but I live in PG County. She's like, I live in PG County. And then like
Okay,
I said the
okay,
city, and she's like, I live in that city too. So like we literally live like very, very close to each other.
okay, okay. And I know Nikki Payne's next book, part of it takes place at National Harbor.
At the
Um,
MGM
yeah,
Grand.
at the
Yes.
MGM Grand at National Harbor. So a little bit of PG County is in Nikki
Very
Payne's
excited.
next book. How long did it take you to write Pretty Girl County?
Um, a year and a half.
Okay.
Probably about like yeah, probably about a good 18 months. Yeah. I needed every bit of the 18
Okay,
months.
so they gave you 18 months and you wrote it in those 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, this time last summer, or like maybe a month before, like last July, we were literally breaking the book apart. And I remember thinking, like, this book is never going to be, like, it's never going to be done because it is a mess right now.
Okay.
So I remember that so yeah, I used up that whole 18 months,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. Um, Last book you DNF'd. Why? Don't tell me the book. Just tell me why.
Boring.
Huh? It was boring. Okay. Okay. That's good enough answer.
I have to be entertained. I really, really do. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Finish the sentence. I can't write without my blank.
I have a writing blanket. I
Okay.
have my Beats headphones, and they have to be like the noise cancel has to be on. A can of Pepsi, a mini can, not a big one, because I'm doing the most of that. And this like little heater that sits. So the house has to be cold, but the little heater has to be right there, like blowing hot air on me. It's
Even in the summertime.
even it right. The whole house has to feel like Alaska. Okay, so I have to, yeah, it's a very strange thing. But
Okay.
everything has to be set up just like that.
Okay. When you have your noise canceling headphones on, are you listening to music or is it just
Mhm.
canceling out noise?
So I work the best when it's music. So like right now is um Mariah the Scientist Burning Blue just
Okay.
over and over and
Over.
over in my ears. Yeah.
Is that tied to this book? Like, is it
Mhm.
okay?
I have to get moody.
Okay.
Really, really moody. I have to
Okay.
be like almost crying.
Okay.
It's like there's the
Um,
scene called for that.
Speaking of your next book, can you tell us one thing about your next book? Just tell us something.
Mhm. Um, Kevin Samuels pissed me off, so um I just have a vendetta.
Okay.
Kevin Samuels, the man that was like,
No, no, we know who Kevin
oh, okay,
Samuels is,
I know because I
and
think
it's
like
like I feel like it's been
it's
a couple of years. Like we're going on a couple of years since his passing.
and I'm still mad.
Okay,
So
so this book is
take down.
a take. It's a fiction though.
It is fiction, and let me.
Okay.
You know what? Let me not have a family of Kevin Samuels like on my ass. But um, I, I was like half asleep one morning, and I just heard this man just like taking a black woman down, and I was like, "What am I listening to?" Because it felt very aggressive. Okay, and I was like, "Well, what's happening? And why does he have to say that to her?" And I just started down this rabbit hole, and I've been mad ever since.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So all in all, the bigger story is it's about self worth
Okay.
and
Okay. Okay.
not letting the world assign worth to you.
Okay. When is this book due? When will we see it?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Okay, because we I have to convince.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to convince people. So it needs to be fully written.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you for answering the rapid fire round. I want to get into your writer journey before we get into the book.
Okay.
Um, I see all of these books in your background. Like in all of your videos, you have this background with this bookshelf. Can you take us back to like your earliest memories of reading and of books?
Yeah. I think those are my earliest memories. So like the reading and the writing sort of went together in those like early memories. So like my parents read to me all the time. I always owned books. Like books felt the same to me as like a toy. Like it's like some kids are like, I don't want a book, I want a toy. I'm equally happy because they actually like made reading very enjoyable, and they also like um just incorporated like the art of like my oral storytelling. Like my dad sometimes, like when I was like really really little, would just like tell me stories to help me fall asleep. So like I've always just really like books, really like stories. And then my mom, who also like would work with me on reading, so I started reading very early. She liked the stories, like Young and the Restless. And
Okay.
so I was home for that. And so I don't know, somehow like I was in taking all of the, the drama that went along with it. And I would take notebook paper and just start like writing. And it would be like the wildest thing that a 6 or 7 year old could like put down on paper. Um, so just so that was the earliest stuff. And then like even as a teenager, like working I was working in an indie bookstore. Like actually before Mahogany, there was Caribou in Maryland, and that was at the time like the largest black owned bookstore in the country. So like every writer would come through there. So like that's why I love new books, and there are very, very recent books that I love, but I'll always have like a special place in my heart for like that renaissance of writers that came in the late 90s, early 2000s, because I was a teenager seeing them come into that store. Like I saw Elin Harris. I never saw um Terry McMillan, but Eric Jerome Dickey came in and stuff. Like it was, they were all Kimberly Lawson Roby. They were all just filtering into the store. Um, so I don't know why I didn't understand that I could be a writer, because I guess as a little kid I wasn't seeing writers, but like I did see them my senior year of high school.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And people are like, I've been trying to think of the name of that bookstore in Bowie Town Center. Um, okay. Okay.
The one in Bowie Town Center is just Barnes and Noble. Like that um is Barnes and Noble, but like Caribou Books they were in like Landover Mall. Like they were in all like the malls, either a kiosk or a full blown store.
Okay. Okay.
Omar
Okay.
Tyree came in there, yeah.
Okay. There's a bookstore, there's an indie bookstore in Pretty Girl County.
Hmm.
How inspired is this bookstore to the one in your book, to the one that you're referencing?
It literally is the muse.
Okay.
Karibu is the muse for Grand Rising in Pretty Girl County, but I didn't want to like name it that because I don't know. I haven't seen the owners in years. I don't know. So like I didn't know how they would feel about that. So I just like gave it a name. But and also I put the location um in my neighborhood that I grew up in, instead of like where
Where
it
it
actually
was.
was in real
Okay.
life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so you said that you experienced this bookstore and you saw all of these authors come through the bookstore in like your teenage years.
Mhm.
At what point did you realize that you could be a writer and you wanted to be a writer?
Maybe like mid 30s. Like I, um, Honestly, I wanted to write. So like as a kid, I just was writing things, but I didn't think it would ever go anywhere except in my mom's file cabinet. But like in my 30s, I was like, oh, like I want to write a story. Like I want to create a book, but I don't really know how to do it. But I had a friend who actually went to school for it. And so, and I had another friend who could draw. And I was like, hey, y'all, let's write a book together. They were like, okay. But like, it just didn't work out. Like, like everybody's schedule was busy, and like, now looking back, I'm like, writing can be like a very solitary thing, and like you sort of work at your own pace. So like I don't honestly, three people writing a book, I don't think that would have worked out. But anyway, but they didn't um they weren't like this wasn't their number one thing that they wanted to do. So like they weren't as invested in it. And so I kept like working at it, and I was thinking like, well, while I'm working at it, I should start like some sort of social media page so that when the book comes out, I have a platform to promote. But the writing was terrible. The writing was very terrible. Like the Bookstagram page took off. This was maybe like 2017. And so I was able to like do um go to publishing events because of that page.
Okay.
But the writing was terrible. And then um long story short, I basically went back to school because I didn't know how to make it good. And once I went to school, once I went back to school, they sort of gave me a roadmap. I needed somebody to tell me why the book wasn't good. Like, I know I love stories, I read all the time, but how can somebody give me a how to? And so they didn't give me a step one, step two, step three, but I think over that 2 years that I was just immersed in literature and all of that, I pretty much found my voice.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So you do think like kind of getting your MFA was instrumental in like improving your writing and making you a better writer.
No, it did in two ways. And I don't think this is like, it's not for everybody, because I do think there's a lot of value in simply reading and understanding like what you like about the books that you're reading. What it did for me was, one, it sort of mimicked what publishing is like even in, like, we would go away for weeks at a time and be cut off from the rest of the world. And there were the superstars there. There was the, people who were aspiring there, and everybody was interested in their own genre. And so there was that part. So I was learning about like just like the book community. But then actually when we flew back home and we spent 3 months with like a mentor, a writing mentor, that's when a person was reading my work and saying, you need more emotion here. Like, this isn't okay. When you start a story, you have to, you want to start with a strong hook, and then you want to go here, and like your stories all. So I was learning all the tools once it was like a one-on-one thing, I feel like.
Okay. Okay.
you know
What drew you to writing middle age and young adult?
um one because so one is because I do have like this, like this nostalgia for like the books that I read as a kid, um and wanting to see like myself. So like the kind of books that I read, I wasn't in. Like Ramona, she was, I really liked her because she wasn't like prim and proper, and like, she wasn't a good girl. She was yelling out, you piss her off, she's going off. But there's still no black people in that book, or like Sweet Valley High. I don't remember no black people there, but I was reading it. So I wanted to be able to create something that gave me that same feeling, but actually had Black people as the main characters. And then I do have to say, like when I think about it now, there was like an insecurity where I was like, I don't I don't know if I can write an adult book. And so even going through this process now, I'm like, no, like you can do it, but there is a part of me that's like, okay, like you have all of these like memories from being a kid and you can incorporate that into a story, but what about being an adult now? Like can you find your voice there and create from there? So um it's a transition, but it's a transition that I have been wanting to do for a while now.
Okay. 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 Um, So, Pretty Girl County, for those who are tuning in, I don't want to assume that everybody is familiar with Prince George's County, Maryland. Um, your book, Pretty Girl County, is set in Prince George's County. Pretty Girl County is the nickname of the county. For those who have no idea about this one DC area suburb,
Yeah.
can you tell them what Prince George's County is? Can you tell them what it is, the significance of it? Um, Give them the 411.
So, Prince George's County used to be for a very, very long time. It was the wealthiest black county the wealthiest black county in the United States. Now, our neighboring county, Charles
Charles
County,
County, yeah.
yeah, has taken the title, but okay, like we are still up there. We are a suburb right outside of Washington D.C. So, if you live really far from us and you're like, oh, where are you from? We might say DC, but we're really PG County, or now we might say like DMV. But basically just, a small, not so small. We're a pretty large county, right outside of DC.
Okay. And you were raised in Prince George's County.
I was like so many people, like so many people in PG County. I was born in DC, and my parents quickly moved over to PG County. They got HUD money, like government money to like cross over into Maryland. And we were so close to DC. Like my mom, she didn't drive until she was like 35. So like we would walk over into DC. Like we were super close. So right
Okay.
on the edge.
Okay. And then I also live in Prince George's County. I've been here since what? 2017. I lived in Montgomery County when I first moved to the area. Then I
Okay.
moved to Prince George's County, bought my house 5 years ago. Also very close to, like, I'm like two stoplights. Um,
Yeah.
so I totally get it. Um, can you kind of speak to like the black wealth, black excellence in the county for those who don't understand?
Yeah, I mean, because it's actually something that I didn't understand until I saw more of the world and realized like how privileged I was to live here. And I want to make something very clear. Prince George's County is very wealthy, but I did not grow up in the wealthy part. So like when you are on those outer edges, well, the way it used to be, when you lived on the outer edges, those were the parts, those were the cities where people may not have had like tons of money. They didn't come from old money and they weren't new money. They were just trying to get by. Um, but everywhere I looked, I saw, I mean, it's like your doctor is black, your dentist is black, your grocer is black, the person graffitiing the side of the building is like everybody's black. So for me, it opened it opened up how I felt about like what I could do in the world. Like I never felt like I couldn't be something because everywhere I looked, there was an example. So it showed me what I could be, and it also showed me what I didn't want to be. When I started like traveling for work and stuff like that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm the only I'm the only black person here. And to be completely honest, the first time that I was like immersed in a like where I'm in like this community of all these white people and it's just like me was when I went into that MFA program. When I went in that writing program, I remember being like, what? I was like, what is happening?
That is
I,
that is fun. But yeah, like PG County is very, very black. Right. And
mhm,
over the years, like we're seeing other, types of people live in the county, but like
yeah.
it is still very, very black. Like almost all of my neighbors are black. If I want to go to Wegmans, everyone is black. Like, it's very
Yeah.
so I just want people to understand like how black it is. Someone asked where you go to high school because someone said they graduated from
Wow. And I
Bladensburg.
saw Bladensburg.
Someone
So
said
I went to
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Y'all are funny.
I dated somebody from Roosevelt,
Okay.
so I did not. I was not in the science and tech program, so I did not go there. But
um,
yeah.
so how can you walk me through you going back to the powers that be at I
Mhm.
say Penguin Random House and be like, I want to write a book about the county I grew up in. Like how did you sell it? How did you convince them? How did you get their buy-in um to write about a very specific place like Prince
So
George's County?
so this is not usually how it happens. I just want to like preface it with that. But I I was they brought me to New York to talk about the second book because the idea was we were gonna like come up with the idea. We had like started talking about it on the phone, but they were like, all right, we're gonna like make sure that we map this whole thing out because we have to actually get this book done fast. This is not like the first book where you have your whole life to write it. Like you have to get this book done. So like I sat in this room and they were talking about they wanted like they wanted me to do like the of like a Parent Trap reboot. So like whatever that was going to look like, they wanted to use that as an inspiration. And I was
Okay.
like, well, I don't know. I mean, because like I've lived through two versions of the Parent Trap, so I'm like,
Yeah, and like there's no Parent Trap in this book. So how did
no,
you
it's not at
go?
all
How did you
right.
go from Parent Trap to like a haves, a have-nots,
The funny
gossip girl,
thing
but black? How did you go from that to like how did you get everyone to pivot?
I'm gonna tell. Well, I they went one way, I went way over here, and we sort of. So when they said Parent Trap, I was like coldest winter ever, and then they was like, no, 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 Parent Trap, and I was like, "Meh." And I just like kept naming these, and I'm like, no, like you guys don't understand, like when a black woman likes when a group of black women get together and they decide they love a book, you, I mean, it becomes it becomes a part of us. It's something like we all can relate to. Like I can say a name. And so I'm like naming these books that they have never heard of. And I'm like kind of mad because I'm like, how do you not know that? Like, you guys work at publishing. But the thing is that I mean, first of all, I guess I was like, I mean, because I was naming some things that were like kind of recent, but if we were going to talk about a reboot, then like, let me tell you what I really, really love. And maybe they weren't working in publishing at that time. I don't, but I still feel like if a book sells over 1 million copies, you should know. So I had them in the place, like literally Googling these like books that I grew up on, I love so much. And I'm like, let me tell you, these books did really well. I was like, I want the next book to like I want to go deeper with the next book because I felt like the first book was fun. It was a rom com, but it was like you're not really that worried about anybody in the book. Everybody's going to be okay, and I wanted something where I could go a little deeper. And so once they were like, okay, we hear you, but no, not like not this. Then I was like, well, let me tell you something. Okay, I want to write. I want to write about my county. I feel like whatever story we come up with, I I feel like this is something that like I mean, first of all, I have seen it, but I saw it in the adult space. Connie Briscoe had a book called PG County. And for me, I felt very seen in it because that's the first time and only time I've seen the city of Seat Pleasant mentioned in a book. And I was like, what if there was a teen version of this? And and I was like, I was like, it's unique because um I was basically talking to the people who had created Gossip Girl. Like, I'm like, you know how Gossip Girl was? Like, I could do the same thing, but make it black, but also make it matter. Make it matter to me, make it matter to my target readers. And so, as I'm explaining this, one of the editors is literally on her laptop and she's like, it is a big county. It's really big. No, it's not like a city. It's like all these cities. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm telling you. And so, then we started mapping out, well, no, they started asking me about my teen. Like, they were like, okay, well, tell us what was going on when you were a teenager. And I told them I worked in an indie bookstore, and they were like, okay, that's good. We could use that. And then, I said, I think I said to them, yeah, like, okay, it was a rich county, but I lived in the poor part. And then that
That kind
clicked.
of hooked them. Okay.
Yeah, that clicked.
Yeah, so yeah, your story, Pretty Girl County, is basically a have and have nots, right? You have
Hmm.
these two former best friends, ex best friends. One of them is a have, one of them is a have not.
Hmm.
And you do liken it to like Gossip Girl. What made you want to talk about the county in all its ways? Like, what made you want to talk about the wealth that everyone knows the county for,
Hmm.
like on a national level, on a regional level, and what made you want to also include um, the not so glamorous, the working class, the middle class? Like, what made you want to depict both and show that dichotomy in the county?
Because I think that was the only way that I could talk about what I really wanted to talk about, which was what happens when you make that transition. So a couple of things had happened. The pandemic had happened, and I was like sheltering in with my parents because it was the pandemic and my mom was cooking. We was all, like, so we were like a little family again in the house. And but it brought me back to my old neighborhood that I hadn't been in like forever. And I was like, I remember being there and being like, I want to live where the people live, like with the gates and the teens that are driving, that they have their own cars. And I remember like my whole childhood like wanting that. And then and then getting out of Seat Pleasant, and then to like go back. And I mean, I was just there, because like the pandemic and everything, but like I was able to like look at the city through, like, I mean, nobody was outside, but I was just able to like think about basically all of these generations, like the people who came over from
From
DC into
DC.
PG, and then the people from in PG who wanted to do better, and then they went and got degrees, and then they moved up, and now they are like new money. What happens once that happens to you? Like when you do achieve your dreams, do you just, that's it, I'm behind the gates, leave me alone, like and do you forget like where you came from? Did you never go visit your past? Are you the same person? Because I was seeing, I see a lot of, I don't know, I think there's something to be to be said about not having a lot, and then you're able to buy the designer bag and you're able to have the fancy car. And if you are a genuine person, it if you are strong in like who you are without all those things, then you're okay. But there's a lot of people who they put a lot of stock in these like material things. And so I wanted to explore that. Like, let's let's move you out of your environment. You are, you're experiencing something brand new. How does it change you? And then how are all the people around you who may not have moved into that space, like how are they reacting to it? So I just wanted to look at that. Then I was watching a lot of the kids when we came out of the pandemic. A lot of the kids in my new neighborhood, they were doing things that I didn't quite understand. Like I was, where I come from, like the people, like the teens and stuff, like would fight and whatever, but like there seemed to be reasons behind it. I don't know, but like it seemed like when our teens came out of the pandemic, there were wounds. I almost feel like there were wounds from being inside without a lot of socialization besides like social media. Like they were indoors for like 2 years. And so I was seeing an uptick in like these emotional outbursts, particularly like at my son's school. And myself and other parents were just saying like, well, what's going on with our kids? Like we moved them here to have this better life, but then they're fighting, they're just doing things that like we don't understand. If you have the white picket fence and the car and all these, like, so it kind of showed me that it's not the material things that's going to make a place a safer place or make you okay, but like you have to almost think about like, well, what's happening inside. So I just wanted to like kind of explore all those different things.
Okay. Okay. So the two main characters, you have Summer and you have Reya, ex-best friends. They grew up in Seat Pleasant. Reya
Hmm.
makes it out of Seat Pleasant and she heads over to like Bowie. And for those who are not from here, just like it's the affluent part, like when you're, driving towards like Glenarden, Mitchellville, and Reya moving kind of causes a rift in that friendship. Um, do you recall like how parallel was this story to you growing up? Like, did you have a Rhea in your life? Did you have friends who moved on up and those friendships were like how close to real life did this story parallel?
So I lived in Sea Pleasant, so it was really important for me to like include that. So like I was pretty much summer, like I was working in an indie bookstore my senior year of high school. Um, I had to, like save up money for college and things like that. Like I knew I was going to go. Um, you know, but Rhea represents Rhea represents the Mitchellville kids. Like I didn't even Bowie. I didn't even have contact with the actual real Bowie kids back then. Okay, like it was like Mitchellville, which was right on the cusp of Bowie, and for some reason they went to our high school too. And so I'm on the cheese, but like it's not even a thought that I'm gonna get a car. Okay, like I'm
Uh-huh.
like on the big cheese bumper to bumper with everybody. And these kids are like rolling up in cars and like, oh, well, it's my mom's old car. And I'm like, okay, but you in a car, like they felt so outside of my circle that like now, like we joke about it all the time because I'm like friends with some of them now. And I'm like, the rich Mitchellville kids because they just it just felt like they were living a completely different life. It felt like they had no worries. Like like I was working a summer job and like maybe they were too, but like probably not. But like they were having the types of fun. Like they were doing things. They were like going to New York and like going on a senior trip and like I don't some of the stuff that they say, I'm like, yeah, that wasn't no, I wasn't taking my car to New York in the 12th grade because I didn't have a car and my parent wasn't letting me go to like you guys were just doing things that like was not even it didn't even feel possible to me. So like I mean, they were acquaintances in high school, but like I couldn't relate. And so some of the some of like Summer's like, ugh, look at her. Like, what it was because it wasn't even like hater energy. It wasn't like jealous. It was just like I can't relate to any of this. Like we're in two different worlds.
Yeah. And I
So
think what's crazy about this, like geographically, going
it's
from
not
where Summer probably lived to where Rhea probably lived is not that far.
it's not that
It's really
far
not. Like it's 15, 20 minutes. Like it's not
at
even that
the
far.
most.
Yeah.
Right, because you actually know it's like right down Central Avenue. But I didn't have a car. So like for them, sure, they could have driven 10 minutes down the road to see Pleasant. And one of those girls is telling me she drove me home one time. I don't believe that, but okay. Like we go back and forth about that. She told me she drove me home one time. I don't know, but to even get to first of all to even get to their neighborhoods at the time, the buses were not even coming regularly. So like it wasn't just, oh, let me just drop myself off in Mitchellville, or let me just go into the real part of Bowie. Like you needed a car or just wait at the bus stop for an hour. So I wasn't it is pretty close. It's pretty close, but it still felt like a world apart. And that was also why I put them in the same school. I made sure that these kids from all these different walks of life were put into school together, and like, all right, what are we gonna, how am I gonna have them interact?
Okay. Um, so writing YA and writing this book in particular, because like in this book, there's certain types of slang and references. How do you, an adult, how were you able to write something that wasn't like, oh, look at this old person writing about teenagers in this county? Like, how were you able to make sure your writing was current? Teenagers in 2025 were like, oh, this is a good, like this isn't cringe, right? How did you
Hmm.
make sure that you were able to write a YA about this very specific place with a very specific culture, its own types of slang, fashion, etc.? How were you able to keep it authentic but also keep it current? Like how was that for you? Like were you talking to teenagers? Did you have focus groups? Were you like, niece, son, can you read this? Like how did you make sure you weren't going to be the old lady writing about living in PG County in the 2020s?
So one, we were in the pandemic
Yeah.
for part of it. So like, and my son was on his PlayStation the entire time. Like I don't even like he probably was supposed to be in school. It just I could hear him at all times. So I'm like telling him, please, like, I can hear you. So I'm always hearing him. So I know how they talk. But for me, I never included something in the book that didn't derive from another generation, because I wanted it to be PG. But if it's like, because the thing about it is, you don't want like a trend that just like comes and goes. Like, you want somebody, even if they're in another generation, to kind of like recognize what they're saying. So, like, to be like, oh, yeah, like we used to say it, but we should say it like this. So, like, the word champ, we were saying that too. So like I could put that in there. Even though I feel like my son's generation uses it in a sort of like a different way.
Mm-hmm.
That could go in there. So it's like the DC slang or like the PG slang had to survive multiple generations for me to be like, okay, it can go in the book.
Okay. And what you do a lot of school visits, you talk to a lot of teenagers, you visit high schools and like local libraries. How are you able, like what has their response been um to this book? Like talking about this book, what has their response been like?
So I was really fortunate enough. Prince George's County Public Schools, like literally supported me from the second they heard about the book. So I was very, very happy. They put together this like spring author tour, and we got to visit the high schools. And 3 high schools that I visited all had something to do with the book. And I was like, and I asked the person who put this together, I'm like, did you do that on purpose? And she was like, no, it just like worked out that way. One of the schools is where the kids in the book go to school. I visited that school. One is there's like another school that one of the characters goes to. It's like the regular neighborhood high school. So like one is like this special high school for like academic excellence that is a real thing, and then like one is like the neighborhood high school. So those two were in, and they're right across the street from each other. And I always see like the kids from the, like sometimes they like come across the street and try to mingle with each other. So those were in there plus another one. And when I visited each of the 3 high schools that I visited, they all had different reactions to it. So like one high school, they were just like happy that they were mentioned in the book, and they were happy that, oh, PG County, oh, did you include this? Did you include that? So that was Largo High School. So if you
Okay.
are from PG County, I just want, I'm gonna give you some context. So
So
Largo,
someone's like Largo and AHS. Yeah,
yeah.
there's some natives in the chat. Yes.
So the Largo students were like, hey, we just happy to be in the conversation. Great. But they were the easiest on me. The kids from Flowers, they were like, all right now. Like they were asking like sort of what you were saying about like, is this gonna be like some old lady doing and like getting it wrong and blah blah blah. So like they were like a little skeptical, but they were like excited. The school that handed it to me, like, we are not gonna play with you, girl. Like was AHS. They came with, I mean, you would have thought they had a pen and paper, because they were like, okay, let me tell you something right now. Does this book include da da da? Like, this is what we want the world to know about, because I feel like that school, AHS, is housed on a college campus. So
Yeah.
they have their own like unique culture in their school too, and they're very protective of it. Um they were raising their hand. They were like, oh, there's a lot. I found this being interesting. There's a lot of black people in this book, but you do know that there are other races here, and are they included? And here's the one thing that I deeply, deeply regret. And so I hope that I have an opportunity to like write a part 2 or 3 or 4. There is a very high like Nigerian population here, and I didn't because I was trying to think about like, well, what are things that are very unique to PG County? And there's like memes all the time that's like, there's a direct line from like here, you go across, and you end and you settle into PG County. So like we do have a high like Caribbean population, African population. We have all of these different groups that I feel like they weren't. I could have dedicated a character to them. So like they were right in that aspect, but and also I got a resounding groan because one of the characters' names is Octavius. And
Hmm.
I'm thinking, I'm like saying it like regular, like, oh, okay, so here's Summer and here's Sauce. And nobody said anything about the boy's name being Sauce. As soon as I said Octavius, they all groan. And I'm like,
Why?
what's wrong with Octavius? And a girl gets on the mic and she's like, I mean, it's like one of those like, oh, let me, oh, he's the boy from the hood, so let me give him. And I'm like, no, like it's actually okay. So I understood what she meant, but one, Octavius is actually based on like a real person named Octavius. Like the only person in the book that I used his name, and in my mind I was like, oh, this is the person, he's like playing the character or whatever. Um that Octavius character is definitely based on a real person, teen from C Pleasant. So I was like, I don't know. I just heard the name Octavius my whole life. I didn't think it, because she was. I'm like,
And is real life Octavius and this Octavius in the book, are they like very similar? And does Octavius know that there's a character about him in this book?
I have been trying to find Octavius. Listen, chat. If Octavius from C Pleasant is your cousin, he has a lot of family members. Somebody find Octavius, because it was so important. It was so important for me to include him, because when I was growing up, he was a little kid where like you could be coming home like at midnight with your family in the car, and he was just walking the streets. And we were like, what? Why is that? And Octavius was like 4. So it's, I was trying to make a point in the book that you don't judge a situation. You never know where a person's going to end up, because based on challenges that he had, because he had so much freedom, and there were reasons why he had so much freedom. We didn't know how Octavius was going to, because I'm like, there's no parent saying stay in the house or don't go too far. We would see him like 20 minutes away. Like, he probably was in Bowie just walking around without a parent. So like, but when I say he had dreams for himself, and he was doing a lot of the parenting himself, like he was parenting himself, but like he had a vision for his life. And he didn't get in trouble like that. Like, what people would assume
About
about a
him wasn't
child.
the case, yeah.
Yeah, about a child just walking the streets at night. He ended up, and he loves C Pleasant. So it was like my little brother's friend. So like, he loves C Pleasant so much that he ended up, so here's like the happy ending. Like, he ended up like running for city council when he became an adult. So like, he didn't win, but like, I'm like, just the fact that you did that, like, people counted you out in a very real way, but you never counted yourself out. And so we were all wrong, And so it was just very important for me to include his name, to say his name, because that kind of thing sticks with me.
Okay.
When somebody says, I don't care what the world believes about me. This is what I'm gonna do. So,
Okay.
but I could not find Octavius, and I have been looking,
Yeah, okay, so
Googling everything.
all of you who know about, who live in the county, that are clearly in the
Somebody
comments,
find
if you
Tate.
know of an Octavius from Sea Pleasant, please let somebody know. So I want to talk about one more question before we move on to like the next set of questions. So one of your main characters, Reya, she is queer, and
Mhm.
there is a sapphic love story. What kind of compelled you to include a queer character in this YA book, and how was that received by your editors, by the publisher? Like, what was the process writing her character and writing like this sapphic love story subplot in the book?
Because I feel like so I actually include straight, gay, lesbian, bi characters in all my books. So like, you're gonna get some characters that are a part of each community. And I am very intentional about being very casual with it, because that's how I feel like I grew up right on the cusp of, like, if maybe it been like 5 years earlier, um, people may have been like, oh, let me be really quiet about who I am. But it seemed like like right around the time I was graduating high school, people were like, yeah, this is who I am, deal with it. And that was very refreshing to see. Even in the YA book prior to this, I made sure to make a masculine presenting lesbian be a player in the book, because that's what I saw. Like, in my high school, the it girls were on the basketball team. They were like, everybody, people were fighting over dating them. So um I feel like I've been very fortunate. Like, DC, New York, Atlanta, these are places, I mean, especially like DC and New York, being living on the coast like that, I feel like people move from the Midwest and like other places that are not as accepting. They come here because um it is a place that, you know, I mean, of course there's always challenges, challenges there, but I do think it is more safe here than in other places. So it's really important for me to be inclusive, and to also just normal, like, this is not a special coming out book. Like, I never really said, hi guys, this is Reya, she's
Yeah,
lesbian.
you say it so matter of factly, so
Yeah.
casually, and that's what I really appreciate. It wasn't a, it was just, it is what it is. So that is
Yeah.
something I appreciated when you were writing Raya's character and her relationship with Karn. Like, I appreciate how, like, this, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And like you said, this was not some big coming out story. Like, no, Raya's, this is Reya,
Hmm.
right? And everyone around her, like, they don't, it's not something to be made a fuss about. Like, it just is what it is.
And you know, I do feel like we have the books that have the big coming out stories, and the teens that are like really um really going through it emotionally about coming out. And so I feel like we have those books, and I want there to also be books where, you know, this we have gotten over that hump, and we're here now. Like, we are in the moment, so that wherever you are in your stage of, you know, being open about who you are, there's a book for you somewhere on the shelf.
Okay. For those who are just tuning in, I've been talking to Lakita Wilson about Pretty Girl County, which is available wherever you get your books. So, like, pretty much anywhere, right? Libraries, bookstores, audio, like everywhere. From Penguin or Viking, which is a imprint of Penguin Random House. So I want to look into the future. Um, are you totally, is Pretty Girl County, is that done? Like, is that, we're not, are we getting sequels? Are we getting a continuation? Like, what is this book kind of like a one and done and you're ready to move on to that next thing? Or is there more in store for Pretty Girl County, for this universe, things like that?
Well, my ultimate goal, like what I really like, my dream thing that I want to do is I wanted to take them to college. Like, it was really intentional that I was like including where they were going to college, and then you notice like there were multiple characters going to the same college. Because I'm a big fan of HBCUs, but I live very, very close to a HBCU that isn't often mentioned when we mention like the Spelmans and the Howards. Like, you know, Bowie State is an HBCU. It's one of the oldest. Well, no, it is the
It's the
oldest.
oldest in the state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the state of Maryland. And so it felt, for me, it felt like it would be a natural transition for me, because the thing is, um I had been writing like middle grade and a picture book and YA. I want to consolidate. I want to focus and brand and say like, okay, this is who I am. And so, but I don't really want to give up YA all the way. So I feel like bringing them to college will sort of be like you know, it'll be a bridge. It'll allow me to continue their story, but also let them cuss, let them, you know, like do, you know, ratchet up that drama in a way that I can't do
Do for
and still
what?
get my
Yeah.
books in the schools and
So is this
libraries.
something, do your publishers know, like, where, like is, have you been given the green light? Do you have to do some more convincing?
So my agent is excited about the idea, but like, this is what, like, I had to explain to like my mom, and like, you know, a lot, like when you're outside of publishing, you don't like, you think like, oh, are you going to do a sequel? But like, it's really not the author's decision.
Yeah.
It really depends on book sales. So like, if this book becomes like a breakout hit, then they'll be coming to me like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, let's, you know. But the thing is with black books, sometimes I don't know if there is a lot of confidence from like publishing in general. So it's not like just like one person, but
As
um,
an industry.
as an industry, they are overly cautious about our books, which it's just as a person who worked in an indie bookstore and a person who was outside when all those people were wrapped around, the National Harbor,
Yeah,
Virginia.
last Saturday, yeah.
There's a like there's readers for Black books. We just have to make them available and like market them. So I have really been like pushing hard for the book. There have been people in the community, outside of the community, that have been um just super super supportive. But that is the dream. I want to be able to sell enough books to take them to college.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Speaking of kind of like people loving the book and supporting the book, what are the ways in which us readers can support you, support Pretty Girl County? Like, what can we do as readers to like show the industry that, listen, we love this story and like put you in a position to continue Reya and Summer's stories?
Um, I mean, the biggest thing is, buying the book, but also calling, I do want to say this. The Black indie bookstores have been on it. They have been a huge supporter of mine. And I'll see like discourse online where people are like, well, forget Barnes and Noble, they don't take your book. But the thing about it is that often determines, like, it's like those big box stores that determine if we hit the bestseller list, if we're going to sell out of our contract or be upside down. And a lot of times, like Barnes and Noble, they just won't take our book. Like, even like with this book, um maybe 10 Barnes and Nobles in the region took like one book a piece. So you're not going to hit the bestseller list with 10 books. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So like Barnes and Noble has the ability to buy 30,000 books, and now they're and then display them. So one of the things that helps is calling the Barnes and Noble and saying like, "Hey, I'm looking for this book." Like, sometimes if they hear a book enough, they go,
Oh,
"Oh,
we should order some.
yeah, we should
Yeah.
order it." Like calling the libraries. One thing I can say is that if you live in PG County and I, I have never had holds on my books ever.
Hmm.
And there is like a 6 month wait on PG County at the library. So like I feel like here, like this county, they're going to the bookstores, buying up all the books. They are going to the library and putting holds out. Like those things really matter. It sends flags to the publisher to try a little harder, to maybe send the author somewhere to promote the book, whereas like they may have picked somebody else that they believe in more. So like sometimes it's just grassroots stuff that works. Posting the book online, reposting it in the stories, telling a friend, all of that. Because um there have been sleeper hits where like the book doesn't, it doesn't start off doing much, but then word of mouth really
Help
gets the
spread the
book
word.
going. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, speaking of like grassroots and things like that, your book came out in early August. You did a DC event, you did a Baltimore event, you actually went to Essence Fest. Um, where else, you just did a book signing at Black Books Matter Fest here in the DMV. Where else will you be for like the foreseeable future?
So I am going to Petersburg, Virginia. So like I'm sort of in the region, but I'm like venturing
Yeah,
off a little
like
bit.
Richmond RVA area. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that because I've never done an event there. Howard University called, so I'm super happy about that. Because I feel like those are the places like where my demographic might be, like because the story is about HBCUs and like the DMV area. So Howard University, Um, I'm gonna be at, so like there's one, I'm going to like a festival on the West Coast, in
Mhm.
San Diego, but ooh, I'm trying to think. Let's see.
When is the RVA event? Is the Howard event solidified? When will you be in San Diego? Like kind of like what are the
Okay,
dates for those
okay.
who may not, for those who might actually be in those places?
Okay, so in in the RVA, okay, so that will be September the second week of September. They're having a Petersburg book festival hosted by Resist
Yeah,
Booksellers.
Black owned bookstore in
Yes.
Petersburg. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like the black owned bookstores have really, really supported me. I will be so the Howard University, I'll be there the second week of October. I believe October the 9th.
Okay.
And yep, that and I'll be at Black Book Bash in
In
Florida.
Jacksonville in
Yes.
October. Okay.
I was
Um,
that's what I was missing. Yeah.
Someone said Bowie State and UMass homecomings need you.
Okay, let me tell you something about Bowie State. I've been trying, so I literally have somebody from Howard about to call somebody
At Bowie
there
State.
because my little Twitter finger, you can't say Twitter
Yep.
fingers anymore, but you know, my little fingers have been going. I have been contacting because this is the other thing. So while listen, you have followers, so somebody might know him. C Pleasant is like, my hometown, but there is a very famous person who was on my little brother's little league team. And when I tell you, I have been contacting because I'm like, all I need is like one little story post. Like, so Kevin Durant is from C Pleasant too. And I'm like, your picture is on my mama's wall. Like, you and my little brother were on the same little league team. Can you do me like one little favor?
Yeah,
So,
Kevin Durant is probably the most famous person from Seat Pleasant.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
like we
yeah,
don't.
like no,
He is
like
the hometown hero,
and someone said
definitely.
BSU alum here. So Andrea, you need to talk to your
Yes.
alumni association and be like, "Hey, Bowie
Please
State
bring
is
me
in this book.
there.
So you people who are local, who went to BSU, who went to Bowie State, say something to the people. Um,
Yes.
that's
Because I
funny.
would love, first of all, I the book heavily it features Bowie State so bad that like I literally took myself on a little tour, even though I know Bowie State, but I'm like, let me do a little driving tour so I can get everything right. So it's basically a walking advertisement for Bowie State. So tell them to bring me there. I would love to that's like my number one thing that I want to do.
Okay. Someone said, "Hey, girl, you advertised your book at a friend's birthday party. I won't say his name. So good. That's between y'all. I don't know these. This is between this is between y'all.
Yeah, okay. We had a time. Okay.
Okay,
So now I'm looking at the picture like
y'all are so
was this
funny.
was this like a group of teachers were there? Can you just answer
Oh,
me that?
Jazz confirm deny. In the meantime, for everyone else, if you have any questions for Lakita Wilson, ask them now. And then I'm gonna let her go because we are way past our time. So questions for Lakita Wilson here. Jazz, you need to confirm or deny. She said
He
yes.
did.
UMass alum here. PG is huge. Yeah. So
I would
y'all need
love
to
to come to Eastern Shore.
I think you could go to Bowie State, UMass, Morgan State. Like
Morgan.
you could go to Towson. Like you
I
could
was name dropping
tour.
them all because I'm like, we live in this amazing area where our children have options. Like if you want to go to an HBCU, there is one on every corner around here. Like you have plenty that you
Yeah.
can go to, and I wanted to just shout them all out.
Have you been in touch with like anyone in like the Charles County library system?
No, but
Okay. I
I would
have a
love to.
contact. I'll send you the contact.
Yay!
But yeah, I'm like you should go next county over because a lot of
And
the people who are ending up in Charles County
they
once
are
lived in
from
Prince George's County. So it was like DC to PG to Charles. So like I think a lot of people would resonate and be intrigued by like a story about the local, like the locale.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. Any questions for Lakita
I
Wilson
love
before I let her go? Same with Howard. We could go to HoCo. We could go to Howard
Listen,
County.
I will
Yeah,
be on a whole
we
DMV
could.
tour.
We
You
could.
don't understand.
We could go up
Help
to
us, chat.
HoCo. Like we could
Help
go
us
to
all
Howard
help us
County.
out. I have a car. Now, look, I'm not a teen anymore. I have a car now. I will drive myself wherever I need to go.
While we wait for questions, can you tell everyone where they can find you, where they could follow you
Yeah,
online?
I am Lakita Writes on Instagram and Threads, and that's where I am most. I'm just like Lakita Wilson on TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And then this next book, this adult book, is a work in progress.
it
Um,
is. Mm. So, um, I have to say this. I wanted to package it up a little bit because, like, it is most of it is done, but I wanted to do a teaser and give it a like a piece of it away, like a chunk of it away at some of these black book festivals that I'm going to. But
okay.
that would mean I have to have it done by October. So we'll see. But that is the little dream, just to sort of say, like, hey, I know I do YA, but let me give you a little teaser on like what I'm doing with adult. So
Okay. Okay. Well, fingers crossed for that. For those who joined late, you kind of missed a little teaser about kind of like the inspo or kind of like the catalyst for this first adult fiction. Um, is there anything else you want people to know about Pretty Girl County?
um I want them to know well, one, I want them to know that yes, I would love if you got a physical copy, but I happen to listen to the audiobook.
I listened
And
to the audio. Yeah,
oh,
it's
so
good.
people were coming, like I hadn't even heard it because like we get to help pick out the narrators, but like we don't hear it as it's happening. So everyone's like, no, 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 you gotta listen to the audiobook. And when I listened to it, it felt like I was like, did I write that? Because they actually made it sound like, when I tell you, they elevated it on another level. So I'm just telling you guys, like, that is an
The
experience.
audiobook is good. If you prefer audiobooks, I say
Yeah.
go ahead and listen to the audiobook. I listen to the audiobook. I just got the physical as like just to have it. Um what inspired the cover? Can you tell us a little bit about the cover before we let you go?
Um, they so okay. They wanted those words to be very prominent because Pretty Girl County is like, a slogan that people from here will pick up on right away,
Mhm.
which has happened. And so they turned her to the back because they wanted it to feel like it could literally be anybody. So like it could be like you want to feel like you are immersed in that world, like you are the character. And so they didn't necessarily want to show the face. They wanted readers to feel like this is me looking off at the rest of my life.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Lakita Wilson, thank you.
Thank you
Um
for having me, Talia. I'm
um
like,
No, I'm glad we got to talk. I know we tried. They don't need to know. We tried to talk last month.
no, it's
We
weird.
tried to talk last month, but we're talking
Yes.
now. For those who want to watch the full interview, that will be available tomorrow on YouTube. I want to thank you so much.